Hey there, welcome back everybody. I am Pseudo, this is Sea Monster. I brought him on today because he's a little bit more of an authority in PvP than I usually am. So we're going to be doing light commentary over this new push game mode they debuted. And this is definitely our first time recording this, no really.
Yeah, for sure. What's up? I'm Sea Monster. Happy to be here. First time here.
So we did watch this before, but honestly we talked over a lot of the rules and I feel like getting a bit of a less talky, more professional thing. We'll do a little bit of a post show what we think about it. It's a better place to put a lot of our commentary, but they do ramble a fair bit, especially when they're playing. So we'll have some time to do commentary. But the game mode, honestly, as far as what we were expecting, looks pretty fun. It looks pretty good. It looks also pretty alpha, like they said. Very much an unfinished thing, but that kind of gives me hope because I've been a big proponent of them just trying stuff for a really long time.
Yeah. I am really excited. I think it's huge for PvP for them to be showing something this early, this much in development. I think they mentioned in the blog post that they did the opposite with Stronghold, and so I'm glad they're learning lessons from that, and they're actually showing us the concept before it's all set in stone and they've invested assets into it.
Yeah, Cal talks about that in a little bit of the stream. And fair warning, they do ramble a little bit in the intro. So if you guys want to just skip ahead to where they actually start jump into the game and showcase the actual gameplay and the rules and stuff, I will have all of that time stamped in the description as well. So you can just skim through it in the VOD. But I'm hopeful. One of my big worries going into this was that you would just sort of 5-stack Scourges or whatever's meta, Spellbreaker, Firebrand, whatever happens to be the thing. I think there's a decent amount of room for evolving flexibility of builds as far as it goes, because we actually, we were like, what if this was good? What if this was good as we were watching it? And it was really interesting. Like, what if portals are good to get back to the point and stuff?
Yeah. I do think there will be some interesting. Hopefully, it won't just be like the best conquest team fight and you just run that and stalemate everything. I do think there will be some interesting space for things that aren't good in conquest to shine here.
What's interesting is I feel like a lot of the AoEs that you drop on conquest points are stationary, like Dragon Hunter traps and stuff. So, and the point moves fairly fast, as we'll see. Light spoilers, I guess. So, you definitely need to keep up with it, as well as be able to pressure your opponents. And the side objectives look okay, but I feel like there's a little bit of room for iteration on those as well, especially if they end up doing more than one map for this.
Yeah.
But damage is always good. It's interesting. It's interesting. They're clearly just playing whatever in the VOD. But it's kind of... This game mode is intended as a introductory feeder game mode to Conquest. They like Conquest. They want people to keep playing Conquest. So it's... We'll see how effective it is in that goal. I do wonder where their goals lie. I hope that fun is at the top, and then that is maybe secondary, because the fun one is kind of the big one for me. It doesn't always need to be fun, but, it helps.
I mean, I think this specifically really needs to be fun. They need a very fun, very casual PvP mode to just dip into to get people comfortable with, like, PvP balance.
It is funny that they were like, this is casual. There are colored titles for it.
Yep.
Sure it is, ArenaNet.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah, this will, if you guys didn't know, we're also getting a beta for this just before we start here. Got 1 minute. For starting on Tuesday, there's a balance patch preview next Friday as well. So tons of competitive Guild Wars 2 stuff next week. It's going to be a wild ride. It's going to be crazy. We'll definitely be doing a stream for that and talk about that and stuff. Huge balance patch enthusiast, as you know. So it's going to be good. Janther Wild's very fun. Spears are overperforming, and it's interesting. Interesting times to be Guild Wars 2 fans, but I'm digging it. You have any thoughts before we get into this?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've been doing a lot of good work. I really like the new approach the team's taking to communicating.
I was gonna say the communication is tops.
Yeah, it's a different ArenaNet. It's a different Guild Wars. I mean, I love personal housing, so I'm just happy about everything right now.
Oh, you giant Minecraft nerd. All right. It's interesting that they have like different homesteads in the preview thumbnail here than the one you get. Just
I think it's just
using
the
on
concept,
that.
right? It looks the same to me.
wonder if you'll be able to gem store different giant houses.
Yeah, I do hope that happens.
All right, let's go.
All right, and welcome back to another episode of Do Cal and Roy really truly dislike each other, or is it just a bit for the stream?
Wait, the stream isn't called Ready Up.
That would be a good one. But anyways, yes, welcome to the stream. Today we are going to be showing off a new PvP game mode that we are currently calling Push. My name is Roy Marks, and I'm joined today by Cal Cohen and Taylor Brooks. Cal, Taylor, how are you guys doing today?
No,
Taylor? Doing pretty good. Excited to show off the PvP stuff we've been working on. So yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
should be
very
pretty
exciting. Yeah.
I'm very excited, if you can't tell by my tone of voice.
Taylor just woke up. It's very early here on the West Coast. And,
It's like noon.
yeah. But yes, Cal, please continue.
They did this.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna start talking. So basically, the stream today, we're gonna talk for a little bit with the three of us here while we wrangle some developers into a custom arena, and then we'll be playing one or two just games of the game mode to show you guys how it works. We'll obviously talk about it a little bit too. I will just give like a little sneak peek at the gameplay. Obviously, this will be going live next week. We're going to be running the mini season following the end of the Conquest season with the new game mode. So that should start around noon Pacific on Tuesday, next Tuesday. And it'll run for a couple weeks through the following, like, seasons end on Monday, so it'll be like 2 weeks minus a day. There'll be some cool, I mean, it's the
we got
standard
2 weeks
rewards,
to
but the titles are
beta test
updated.
this.
The ladder title for just getting your pips done is going to be a push beta tester. That'll be a one-time, I guess it'll probably be back anytime we do another push beta. But that will be definitely a limited title you want to get your hands on. And then the top 250 leaderboard title, I believe, is Object in Motion. Taylor, is that correct?
Yes.
And that'll just be the title going forward anytime we run as a mini season.
Okay, so it's only top 250.
You know, assuming everything goes well and players like the game mode,
Yeah,
and we
that's usually how the
finish
mini
developing
seasons
this game mode and ship live, and it
That's
ends up in
actually a very smart title for PvP.
so I guess I can talk a little bit about that too.
You never stop pressing W.
So, as we mentioned in the blog post, if you guys haven't read the blog post, go read the blog post that we
Just
posted
called
yesterday.
W.
Should we just read it
It
now?
gives some, yeah, we'll just read it on stream.
Yeah.
And pull it up.
We do a
Yeah.
reading stream.
Honestly, I almost
Stream.
I'll be in
they
trouble,
joke
I can't
about
read.
this, but I almost wish they did like
And we
read the
can do
blog
that reading the
post and
forums
do like
stream right
little,
after.
you know, I didn't include this or I could
But
have said this.
then- So,
I mean, yeah, it
blog
actually
out
would be
a lot
good
of this
content for them
information. This
specifically
map is
to
in a
do.
very early state, to the point that there are very temp assets. We have some gray box untextured props
Also, it'd
in
be
the
a pretty
map.
funny
There's the
running
SAB
gag if they
Angry
just had
Cloud
random
is
people
the
from a different
whatever you
office.
want to call it, the capture point identifier.
Don't even
some
work at
people wanna
Arena,
call
not just read
payload,
it.
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Feel free to use any of the terms that are commonly used for this type of thing. So
We
obviously,
hope the SAP
final.
stays.
This map is not final either. This is kind of a repurposed old map that was not custom built for this game mode, but we were looking at a lot of old maps and we saw this as something that had a really nice layout for what we were trying to do, a little bit smaller, and then a more natural path for the capture point to move along.
It's interesting to say that because it looks
So
like a Guild Wars 1
there's not
style
a
map.
ton of work or time that's been put into this map yet because we want to test the mechanics of this mode with the player base, get it in front of you guys, and say, hey, do you like this game mode? Is this fun? And it's obviously very unpolished. There's going to be things that you think need to be improved within the game mode itself, and
This
that's
is
totally
such a good
expected.
idea.
That's totally fine. But we want to
serious.
have kind of the
I know it
broad
sounds
strokes
sarcastic,
here
but
before
genuinely,
a lot of
just
development
do
time is
stuff.
put
Yeah.
into this because
Before you
Yeah.
invest,
we have some
That's
goals for this
superb.
game mode. We want it
you
to
know,
be
thousands of
we talked
development
about this a
dollars
little bit
into
in
it.
the blog. Almost kind of like an onboarding tool, a simpler game mode for players to learn how to play their builds a lot more. Like learn how to play your build in a PvP environment that you don't have to worry as much what's going on the map. Conquest, very deep.
I do
very
worry
complex
that,
game mode.
I mean, it'll
that
teach you
it's
how to
very
press
easy to do
buttons,
things
right?
incorrectly, and it's
But
maybe
he
a little bit
mentions
more
learn how to play your build,
difficult to
and if
focus
your build
on
is like
learning how to play your
completely
build in a
different from
PvP
like a
environment.
roaming build that you should be playing in
So one of the
Conquest,
goals with Push is to
I
give
don't know how
something
effective
a
that's
little
going to
bit
be for a
easier
new
to
player, but
follow,
maybe.
and
I mean,
give players an
I
opportunity
get that,
to
but
really
also
ramp
the
up their
safest place
skills
for a new
as a
player to be in
PvP player
Conquest
before
is
they
the
dive
team
into a
fight.
deeper
So
That's
I
true.
think it's fine to have a team fight focused game mode.
And you know,
to
it's just
these
kind of
people.
fun to jam in the center.
I think
There's
it's much
obviously
easier
the
to
one
throw as a new
major
player and get yelled
one
at
main
if they're
capture
playing a
point
roamer or
here,
a side noter.
or
and then
just
there
run
are
around
some
without
objectives
any
that we'll
idea
see
of what to
once we
do.
get into the map.
Yeah.
But a lot simpler. One major objective to focus on, and then we do have some side objectives to kind of introduce.
When you think about
players
it that
to
way,
the
this is
idea
sort of
side
just conquest
objectives.
with one moving
They're going
point.
to be just the damage
Yeah.
buffs
I mean,
from
this
Colosseum.
game-
We're going to see a lot of reused
A
assets.
King of the
some
Hill
the
game mode would be very
temple
healthy.
stuff,
this
some of the
game. This is
Colosseum
kind of
stuff.
that with
It's not going to have the
director
auto
steps.
stomp. It's just going to be a
I
team
almost
wide.
feel like they should call it conquest with one moving point.
And there's also a center objective that will spawn a bit later in the map, and that is a no
bonus
cap
power.
buff. Bonus power.
Yeah, it says bonus power.
Right.
I
there's
do
some,
like if they
reused
keep
voice
those side
lines as
objectives or
well.
even just for the mini season,
But
it'll
that's going
actually
to
teach people
cause
what
the enemy
buffs on
team to be
Colosseum
unable
do.
to contest the capture point for a fairly short period of time, and that is going to scale duration or be a different duration based off of your team is winning or not. So the losing team is going to get a little bit more duration there to give them an opportunity to come back.
Yeah.
Okay,
I do
so that's
really
something
like
we
the
missed
added
before.
Probably
protection.
these side objectives.
Yeah, there's a center
give
mechanic that
Kyle a moment
will
to
give
drink
you
some
bonus
water,
power that
are
appears sort of like
powerful enough, strong
Roshan
enough,
in
enough of a reason
League
to
of Legends or
deviate
something.
from the main objective.
interesting,
In
'cause the
time, and as Carl said, this is obviously something that we're going to be balancing.
point moves around, and
so
Roy
make
is
sure
mentioning like
if they feel
there
good,
need to be
let
side
us know.
objectives
If
that
they feel
are
bad, let us know.
impactful enough
Speaking
to
of which,
get
is
you
there
to
any
deviate
place in
from just
particular
the
that
one
players
team
should
fight.
be planning to go to give this
The one team
feedback,
fight might be on the side of
for
the
this
map.
game mode specifically, Cal?
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be a lot of the
is
same.
good that
where
this is in before the kind
wanna
of alpha test
see
because that was the biggest thing I was
forums,
worried
Reddit,
about not existing.
social media, tweet at Roy. I don't even know what your Twitter is, Roy, but just tweet at Roy directly if you want to give some feedback.
It's at
I read
Boys.
I read Twitter a lot.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine.
I hope he's not serious.
Yeah, I see. DM me on Discord.
That little smile
I'm sure
made it
that's a
seem
great
like
idea to say on stream.
he does actually read Twitter a lot. and
But,
he's
I've
trying
heard
not to.
reports you don't
I
answer
can never tell.
Discord DMs though, Cal. So I'm not. That might
Yeah,
be.
but
apparently
I
Cal
read
is
them.
openly
Do
inviting
you?
DM
Interesting.
him on
Oh, okay.
Discord.
I've got a friend who's
DM
gonna be
Kyle
very
on
happy to do
Discord,
that.
tweet at Roy. That's how.
But yeah.
These
do you want to
all
talk
sound
at all
like
a little bit about
the
like
worst
sort of
ideas.
the
Not
reason
harass
we
these people.
came up with
Just
this game
straight up
mode,
email their work
or do we
emails.
want to? It looks like we're still waiting on one more person, I think. So
Well, it
have
might
a
be
little
me.
bit more time to stall.
We'll see if
Send
someone
them a
else shows up.
handwritten
Might
letter.
fill the
Or
empty slot
Taylor.
if needed.
Yeah.
Taylor is in.
Oh, Taylor's in. Oh, great.
I'm ready. Locked in.
Write out a telegram. There's got to be a service
yeah,
that
I mean,
sends
talk a little bit
telegrams
about the
these
goals
days
for
or
the game
something.
mode of kind of being more of a more
Yeah, fax
casual,
it to
laid
them,
back
send
environment to
a telegram,
learn.
send some pigeon
But
mail.
also, I mean that's really the gist of it. It's just supposed to be like a lot of other
Right, like I
games
said,
have
we're
more casual
talking a
games
little
as
bit
well
over
that a
because
lot
they
of
do
players
ramble, but they do
to
get
play,
into it.
And sometimes you just want
Yeah.
to chill. Even like the competitive players, you
Hopefully,
don't want to just be
they're
chatting
mentioning
rank
it's
all
more
day,
casual and it's
every
easier to
day.
get matches.
Can
I almost
maybe
want them to
make
just like
wear on your
throw
mental
all of their
health
matchmaking
sometimes,
algorithms
depending
out the
on,
window for this, at least for the beta test, and just
how
see
your
how
games
that
are going.
does.
So
Just
you
like
might want a more
whoever
casual
with
place to
whatever.
hop in, play some push.
Just like get the
Okay.
cues,
But
fast
I
cues,
guess
you
I'll
know?
talk a little bit more about the beta process
be
as
interesting.
well, because that's
Be a
something that we
cool
touched on
experiment. I
in
mean,
the blog, but I
That's
haven't
something they
rambled
could
about it
do a
quite yet
cool
here
like
today.
weekend event for. Like
I talked
the
about how
downstate
the map
league.
is very temporary.
No map chat.
And placeholder and all that good stuff, and why we're doing that. But we can talk a little bit about like what the different phases. There's a little diagram on the blog if you guys want to go read it.
Okay, this is the
I
part we
really
need to
recommend
not
reading the
talk
blog 'cause
over.
I'm kind of trying to regurgitate the blog from memory, which is not a great idea, and cover all the key points. So we'll see how.
Tell
see
you,
how
we
that
should just
goes.
read it on stream.
Just read it on
Good
stream.
content. I hear that's what a lot of streamers do. Actually, they
No, they
just,
talk about
they
it
read
later.
blog
Like
posts on
they
stream,
actually
for for
they mention all the
content.
rules in like
Yeah.
this one little
There's no
block, so I'm
reaction.
trying to get us to not
Yeah.
talk over that
Yeah, so obviously we're
specifically.
at the first
I think it
beta
was
here,
right
and we're
after
gonna
they
see
unmuted,
kind of how the
right?
reception is. what
Yeah, I
feedback
think so
is.
too.
We're expecting
There's
a
a
ton
little
of
bit
things
of
that
info
we
before those,
want to
so I'm trying to be
improve in the
careful as
game
well.
mode based off the feedback, and then we'll kind of be moving forward based off that. And we'll see. We don't have like exact timelines or anything like that, but we are going
There's
to
also a
be
chance
iterating
we
on the
just
game
didn't
mode.
get all the rules because
We really want to
they
still
did
be
say
focused
Cal
on the
went over like
mechanics at
3 of
this
them while
point.
he was
We want
muted.
to get to a point where we are
he
confident
repeated
that
them.
players are going to really
But they're
enjoy
describing their
playing this
iteration
before we start
process. They don't
working
have
on
a hard
the map side
timeline
of
for
things,
this,
or all
which
the
is
art,
also
or all
good
the
because
all the visuals.
no
and
offense to
even,
Guild Wars 2 community, it's usually
underlying
great, but
systems
whenever
from
they
this map
promise
right now
something they're
are
like,
in
oh,
conquest map, it
alliances,
does not have any custom
use
text for
promise.
the game mode itself.
Like, can't do that
'Cause
anymore.
Again, like that's a fairly large project that will need to be done once we establish that this game mode is something that we need to do or we want to do.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of what they did
It
with
does look like
Stronghold.
we have
and
everyone
this
in,
is
by the way.
incredible.
So
This
really?
is
we
great.
can,
This is
Map.
much.
yeah.
there
I
anything
mean,
that
they
you can
learned
talk
from it,
about?
right? That's
Yeah.
the new arena net, hopefully.
Well, no, I figured since last
I mean, yeah, it's awesome. Not
the last
not
stream we did
committing
was
the
mostly
resources
Taylor and I
until they
talking,
know the
and you
concept is
kind of
solid,
just like
people like
interjected a
it,
little
and
bit.
there's
I
a
figured
player
we would
base
just let
around
you,
it. It's just
talk,
Right.
get
how
all that
you should
rant,
do
like
things.
Was there anything that I
rambling out.
forgot to talk about?
It's
Oh,
interesting that
undoubtedly,
like
but that's
also
fine. It'll only
they
make you look
mentioned
bad,
that this
Taylor
is
and I
a
have fun.
favorite
So,
internally, which
Taylor, you
means they probably have
anything you want to
other
say before we
prototypes that
get
they've
into
been
the
like
map?
shooting around internally and
I
stuff.
think
Like,
the
is this one?
example will
So this is the one
show
that
a
they
lot
were
of
like, hey,
things
let's
to people. So I think
try
it's
to
best that we
push this
jump
out
in
to the
Let the
Yeah, we can
game
do
mode
community.
like
speak
a-
for itself.
Oh, it's
do
such
like
an
a
awful name.
playthrough
Please
real
name it
quick.
something
Yeah,
else.
really.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we will jump
I'm
into
sure that'll be
the.
big feedback. And
Charge.
we'll see what they choose.
Conquest
Charge
with
is a
1
better
point.
option.
Okay, this
How
part
are
they're
you gonna be
muted.
Push a Man? We
Am I gonna
gotta
what?
make a million Push a Man characters right now. Get the stocks in.
I think the title
Quickly.
should be Beta Push Champion, honestly.
That's true. This is a. I mean, maybe that's where they get the title from.
So this you get like an overview of the map. I mean, there's one for testing it, they went over it, and then there's one for getting top 250. They're talking a little bit now, and they reiterate what Roy has them muted for. This is not on our end. This is on their end. But figured I'd keep it
Yeah.
in because they show it fly over the map. There's 3-ish lanes that the capture point bounces between, and based on who is capturing it, it moves toward the other enemy spawn. And you would think that it would be
I'm
Apparently we're
hearing
muted,
that
pretty easy,
stream
but
does not have audio.
actually works pretty well.
We'll fix that momentarily. I'm gonna go back to game screen. I'm gonna add audio. Apologies. We will have audio in a second. One moment.
See, everybody's got audio issues today. That's why. I blame Roy.
Yeah.
He muted my mic.
Yeah.
It definitely didn't happen. I don't remember that.
Okay, they can hear me now. They can hear me. They just can't hear you guys.
Some solid names in here.
But they can hear you guys
Now.
now. All right. Apologies.
Honestly, they
Apologies.
should
We
just
gotta
keep
have
the map
one,
the way it
We
is.
gotta have one
What's going
stream mess up at least once a stream, or one technical issue at least once a stream. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Really, I
okay.
need more gems for this. I'm working.
Could
I'm
they
working
hear
under.
you the whole time?
No, they could not hear me the whole time. So
Okay,
we're
then
all
we
right. So
can
guys,
restart the
wow,
stream.
look at this map. We just got into this map for the first time. That's
Yep.
crazy. Very snowy. Looks beautiful. Awesome. Love to see it.
First time here. It's a pretty cool map.
And yeah, the map does have sound. Don't worry, guys. You will be able to play this game. This map.
It also has tranquility.
Yes. So we've got the blue and red sides. We've got the side
Sort of.
objectives, as you can see with the glowy pillars here. We do have some gray boxes, as we mentioned in the blog. We've got some sort of jumping puzzle-esque kite spots on the sides as well that may come into play. Do you want to go over the? I guess we don't really need to go over the route that we're going to take, right? Because we'll just show it.
Yeah,
again.
so with the decals here on either side, with the quarry capture point are the finish line, for lack of a better word. Once the capture point overlaps the finish line, you have reached the end and you win. There's obviously a tiebreaker mechanic. If neither team reaches the end point, the team that has pushed the furthest will win. And that'll currently be marked by a little flag decal that pops up on the map. We'll see that once the match gets started and teams get stopped. It'll kind of mark their best push. That's something that we'll obviously clean up in the final version, but for now, it's kind of the easiest way that we could mark that with our existing tech. The point does move kind of sideways first. It's not just a straight shot, and this is mostly for just to get the timing right. We want it to go kind of over to the side and kind of use that space, and then it'll come back down toward the finish line. Capture point is a pretty standard capture point. It is contested by one person, and it will essentially captures instantly. And then it will start moving in the direction of your team. One enemy is enough to contest the point against any number of allies or opposite team members. Similar to Conquest, we want to make sure that the capture point mechanic was consistent with Conquest. There's also a kind of stacking debuff while you're standing on the capture point. Is this only when it's contested, Taylor? Or is
Yes,
it all the time?
while it's contested, it'll pulse a debuff that everyone on the capture node will take stacking. It makes you take increased incoming damage and also lowers your incoming healing. This is a anti-bunker mechanic. We want to make sure that for the beta it isn't full of bunker builds standing on the point. We aren't sure that would be the best prevalent strategy, but we just kind of want to hedge our bets that that's not something that's going to happen because we know we want more fast gameplay with this.
Very
So
happy
that
they thought
is
of
why
that.
that exists.
Yeah, so then the side objectives here, I guess I said them earlier while I was muted, but these are the Colosseum sword buffs without the auto stomp component, so it's just going to be a team-wide damage buff. That you capture it, your whole team gets a damage boost, and then you go, fight your enemies with more damage. Very exciting. And then the center buff, which is also there, you can see with the beam of light, the God Ray, is going to be a debuff for the enemy team that prevents them from contesting the capture point for a period of time. The winning team is going to get a shorter duration, so if you're already ahead, you're going to get less opportunity to just finish the match off. But if you are behind, you'll get a little bit longer duration of that no cap debuff in order to get some counter pushing in, try to make it start a comeback, right? Did I talk about overtime when I was muted, or did I say that when I was not muted? I don't remember.
You said a lot of things, and I usually.
Yeah.
I mean, I listen.
You just zone out.
No,
right?
I listen a lot to the things you say. But yes, overtime you might as well
Type in
cover
the
it again.
comments
Why
if
not?
you listen to him
Sure.
or not.
If
Just in
neither
case.
team reaches finish line
Yeah.
within the allotted time, then the game will not end immediately necessarily. If the winning team is currently in control of the capture point, it will end immediately because there's no reason not to. But if the losing team is currently pushing the capture point, the game will not end until the enemy team takes back control of the capture point. So just contesting it is not enough because that's way too easy. But if you as the pushing team lose control of the capture point, then the game will end. And the tiebreaker is obviously who had the farthest push over the course of the game.
That's
So if you get
actually really
close to
cool.
the
That's what
finish
we missed
line
before.
and the enemy team barely gets past halfway, you're going to win, obviously. And one final mechanic I just remembered is that while you are catching up to your best push, which sometimes is the middle of the map because the enemy captured it first and started pushing in that direction, but while you are kind of rubber banding back to your furthest push, the point will move a bit faster just to speed things up and make sure that you're not just constantly going back and forth over the 1,500 units across the center.
I really like that. This is a very.
That's
smart
probably enough
choice.
talking. Why don't we just play the game?
Yeah, I think we can probably
Everyone
get
a lot of
everyone
yapping.
can watch
The
it.
talking is appreciated.
I'm gonna tell them to ready up.
Yeah. Did we do a good
Also,
job
Taylor,
listening that time?
what is this necro? I thought you were gonna play ranger.
No,
I guess we'll find
the
out.
secret tech. This build is OP. I'm
This
gonna
is the
farm
secret tech.
everyone.
All right, so
Yeah.
ranked enjoyers, pay attention. This is the build you want to be playing.
The Demon Queen
Can
relic.
we show
I hope
this
we see it.
on stream?
That is
It's
thicker
not
or
gonna-
not gonna leak it.
necromancer
Or a
build.
necros.
I wouldn't
in,
say-
No, you
ranked
should
for now.
definitely
Good,
definitely
but
show
it's
my.
not
He's
bad.
just playing
Segments.
stuff, man.
Good to see.
I mean, it's better.
Alright,
It's
here we
actually
go.
better into this game. There's
yeah,
nothing really
no,
meta
Sab
in
Club?
this, in
Yeah,
this
so
match
How's-
right
I
now.
activated.
see we start.
I mean,
The
maybe
capture
they're
point
on
starts
the.
right in the center. You can see
preview.
the angry
Nice
cloud
patch.
has arrived with the commander tag. Of
I really
course.
like how fast this point
This
moves.
is just
I gotta
to
say.
show
I
you,
thought
give
it'd
you
be so
a better
much
picture of
grindier.
where the capture point is.
I almost
also,
think
I
the
think
map's too
it's-
big.
Like
Yeah.
Grouch really leading the
It could
charge
be
here.
smaller. I really
And
think
for blue
making
team,
it smaller,
You
faster,
know,
like
game
that-
director
just
and
the
blue team director.
Map building alone could
Good
really
time.
Supporting his team
decentivize
as
a
he
bunker
does
comp
within
if
the
done
studio.
Try not to talk
Yeah,
about the
that's-
over the
that's
first
great. You love
bit
to
of
see
this here, but I agree.
Wow, that's a lot of damage though. But if red team loses, does this mean that Taylor's build is in fact not good?
If Taylor loses, it might be embarrassing for him.
Yeah, I mean that would probably be the most embarrassing thing any employee's done on a live stream, right?
Oh,
Anyways,
let's
yeah. So
see.
Taylor, you should
There
focus on
are
your
no
gameplay.
beasts on this
You
map.
should focus on your
so-
gameplay, I think, Taylor. Yeah, both teams having
Yeah,
some
Taylor,
trouble
can
getting
you
an
win
edge
this
though.
team fight?
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously this is like kind of one of the things that we were thinking about with the stacking debuff. There's opportunities for
I actually
a lot
love the
of
cloud.
tanks to stand on the capture
The
point.
cloud is awesome.
And
That should be permanent.
The damage buffs don't spawn immediately. Those are a little bit deeper into the game, so there's not that
I feel like it
immediate
should be a happy
opportunity to just
cloud,
have
though.
a damage buff and start shredding those tanks. The kind of stacking debuff is going to be doing a lot of work in the early game. Here we see the artifacts have reached maximum power, and the swords are here.
Yeah, I feel like
Also,
turn
one thing to
happy
note
after
is
you
that
push
we
it
are
certain
looking at a
amount.
10-minute timer for this game mode. We're not expecting games to go to time super frequently. Obviously,
So
if
it is
the teams
10
are
minutes
very
per game.
tanky, there is more room for that to happen and go
It's
to that
15
tiebreaker.
combos.
But we are hoping
Oh,
that
he's
it
a-
goes
yeah,
a
it's
bit
15
quicker.
combos.
And we see conquest games tend to run. Obviously, the timer is 15 minutes, but the average conquest game, I believe, runs around 9 or 10 minutes last time I looked. And we're hoping for something a little bit faster, a little bit more in and out for this.
I like
game
that.
mode.
Does having
it's in-
more players in the
Say
capture
ink
point make
like
you go
average
faster?
5 or 6. That'd be
It
great.
does not.
Interesting.
Games are
Especially if
faster
you
than the
keep
queues.
time
Having
under
more
Yeah.
players
2 or
in
3
the
minutes.
capture
Yeah,
point,
exactly.
when you have players might know this, but if you have 5 people on the same capture point in a PvP map, it will capture slightly faster. So highly recommend that strategy.
Okay,
but
so that
as
does
for
matter.
moving this capture point, there is no difference.
So
Red
once
team,
you
sneaking
capture it, there's
nicely
no
into
movement
progress.
difference, so
Yeah,
you can
We
have
can
one
see the
person
flags
escorting
that
it.
appeared. We can now
but
see
Yeah.
kind of the
in
best
order to actually
positions of both
capture it
teams right now.
faster,
They appear
although I thought they
mirrored
said
on
it
both
captured
sides of the
instantly.
map,
I
so
don't
you
know.
can kinda
They
see
said it
as
doesn't.
you're
There is
pushing
no
your cart,
difference
you can
in this
see
game
that
In moving it.
you can see both where
I guess
your
we'll find
cart
out.
slow down because you can see your best
They
push
just said
and
capping it.
enemy's
Okay,
best
I
push,
believe
so
you.
you can kind of get the I need to pass this to get into the lead type of mechanic.
Great signet by Grudge there. I wanna call that out.
Oh, the bonus power.
Ooh, bonus power. There we go. Who got that? Or did
Yeah,
I
to
think
be
it's
clear
coming up.
about these power and
Yeah, it's
defense
coming up.
objectives, they give it to your whole team. In this mode, they don't give
Bonus
you a
power.
personal buff. In
Man,
Eternal Crosshair, they
someone
give the
on
stats
this
to your
red
whole
team is doing a
and
lot of
personal buff.
damage to the blue team players.
And you get,
I think it might
do you
be
get and a
the
personal buff and the
Mechanist.
stomp thing, or is the personal buff the stomp thing?
Maybe the Spectre though.
We can
The
check
personal
stats
buff in
after the game.
Coliseum is
See who had
just
top damage.
like it stomps people with swords and it revives you once if it's shield.
Alright,
Okay, I wasn't
Tranquility
sure if it was
has
even more
appeared.
damage. See, no one knows what
Might need
anything
to
does.
rebalance
Me.
teams
It
after
is. It
this,
gives you offensive
this
stats.
match.
Sword gives your whole team
Awesome.
offensive stats.
Right. I thought it was like more for
Healers
you,
are
is
still
what I was
opportunity.
asking.
Oh no, not
Or
more.
a comeback.
Will one player contest the
Alright,
node
I know
if
how
there
alacrity
are
works.
more than one? Like if there's 2 red team players in here, yeah, as we can see, the one blue team player is enough to contest it, just like a normal
Yeah,
conquest node would.
It's a normal capture point behavior.
All right, we have.
I was
the
so
buff.
skeptical
Go
before we
team,
watched
go.
this, and like,
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't
Tough
suck.
gameplay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, they put a lot more thought into it than I thought compared
Okay.
to like how they talked about it in the blog post.
Especially, yeah, for something that came off as like, oh, this is super in
What do we have
alpha.
going on here?
It's like in alpha
Yeah.
for good
So we're getting
reasons.
close to the finish line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
It's not in alpha
good
for
amount
like,
of work
Now, would
Yeah.
we consider?
At least
you
thought
might have
put into
mentioned
it.
this when you were just talking about
Yeah,
the
exactly.
time
Like, they
limit,
put
but would we
conceptual thoughts
consider
into it. They
lowering the
clearly,
time
like,
limit
done
if
some
we
internal
felt it was
testing,
necessary?
and I think they've
Yeah,
resolved
we can
obvious
definitely lower the
issues
time
with the
limit.
game mode
I think
itself.
the goal
just
again
from
is to
internal
not have
testing,
matches
which
go to
is
time. 'cause we
rare
wanna,
for them,
like,
honestly.
let
It's a
you reach
huge
the finish
improvement.
line. But if we see that matches are dragging on, well, we can mess around with like the capture point speed as well. We did have some early playtests internally where the point moved much faster, but it was almost too fast. It was like hard to keep up with sometimes. So we were trying to find the right balance between capture point speed and time takes to go through the whole path essentially.
Nice.
So we can see
I
now
like that a
blue
lot.
team
Like,
kind of
made
putting
smart
it back.
choices.
It is moving a little faster because they are working back toward their best push still.
I also
What?
like that it moves faster
Gretchen
than you
1v1.
backpedal to teach people that backpedaling
make
is
it
bad in
money.
PvP. I'm seeing some of these devs
Unbind your
backpedal.
SQ
Love it when my
people.
support 1v1s
Yep.
off node.
And so we do have the swords are available right now. We could see someone go for the damage buff, kind of take advantage in these team fights.
I was going to say, I almost think that the sword objectives need to
But
be
that is
really
kind of-
important.
one of the major goals of the game mode is to just
Yeah.
have that kind of singular team fight where you can
I'm
just
glad there's no shield objective.
run to the capture point and jam. You always know
I
exactly
am
where you should
worried
be going.
that
Obviously, we don't have
even
a lot
though
of
they have an
interaction with the buffs in
anti-snowball
this
and
match
catch-up
specifically,
mechanic done really
and that's
well, I'm
not
worried that
necessarily
the
a
buffs
problem.
will be snowballing.
They're not. It is like a 20%
Maybe.
damage buff for your team, but it's not
Like,
intended to be
send your
something so
portal mesmers
powerful
out
that
there
you
and
feel
get
like
it.
You must go
Yeah.
get it because we want. Again, if you run toward the capture
I mean,
point,
that
with your
incentivizes
team
side
and fight the
fights.
enemy team,
The
you're
node.
generally playing well.
But maybe that's bad for new people? Yeah, I guess maybe the swords shouldn't be super important. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
This is great.
I mean, I think that like Coliseum is
what's
the
going
map
on? You
that
guys can't
favors
win?
experienced players the most right now
You
because
know,
of how the buffs
team
work and
decided
because it's not
that they
obvious
didn't
how
want
they
to
work.
send the node. I mean, I can't
So
do
because
that
it's
for
huge.
That might
for
make
the
this
necro.
better or worse. I don't know.
Classic ranked mentality,
Coliseum.
blaming
Yep.
the team instead of
Yep.
taking
That's pretty rough.
responsibility.
I've never
Yeah,
done
you actually
anything
get bonus
wrong.
points in this
Yeah.
game mode if you blame your team, even
Bonus
if you're
power.
winning.
Power.
Nice.
Yeah,
Sure.
typing in chat makes the
Is back
makes the
again.
thing move faster. Only team chat though.
And obviously, like we're still the center buff is kind of the no cap, the cap.
I think
or
the thing that worries me
yeah,
about
no
the buffs,
cap,
right?
no
If your
cap, the no
team's
cap
clearly
mechanic.
better, you can like hold
It
the
felt a little bit
3v4
flavorful for the game mode to give you
for long
opportunity
enough
to,
for
like,
your team to overwhelm the
really, like,
buff,
a good
and then
push
that'll
in
just
once you
make the
capture it.
team fight.
But that's something that
instantly
we're very open to changing as well.
Maybe.
They
They mentioned there's like little side things that stop
or
it
if
from
there's
moving
other
too. So.
things that we feel
Yeah,
make a lot
that's the
more
one I
sense
like the
or
most.
feel
That one's
better
really smart.
mechanics
I
for
think
the center
I
buff.
don't know how I feel about the
As with
the
most
stat
things
buff
on the map right now, it is
side
very
note aside,
work in
buff.
progress. Almost an
But
alpha
the
state,
ones,
even though
the
beta map
snowball one
says
is an
it's a beta.
incredibly smart
Look at
choice.
Grouch playing for
Oh
the
my
objective.
God.
You love to see it.
He's just going.
Crouch, making a break
You mean
for
the
it.
anti-snowball
Yeah,
one?
you might actually be able to
Yeah,
just
the
take it all the
anti.
way.
I mean, yeah,
Who
the
knows?
anti-snowball mechanic and the catch-up mechanic. Catch-up is
Let's
what I meant.
pass their.
I was going to
Like
say
double
the
if you
previous
catch up.
best.
No, red team
Aside
is getting
from-
the no cap buff. No, interrupted.
this has been one of my biggest complaints for PvP that
God, I just got rifle butter.
I don't know, people don't, I feel like it's more of a macro game mode thing. So the middle objective just
They got it,
appeared,
right?
they capped
Red
it.
team did
That
get the
will
no
give
cap
them,
buff,
I
so that
think,
now can't
stop the
push.
push.
No.
So
okay,
obviously you
it
can't
stops
contest
it.
the point, but you can still contest your
I'll
enemies.
explain it a
Just
little
kill all your
later,
enemies and they
unless they already did.
can't push the point.
And how
Yeah,
long
I was
does that
just-
buff last?
I'm stupid, so I had to
It
explain it to
depends on
myself.
whether you are the team that is ahead or
Yeah, I think the
behind.
numbers it gave was like
I
20
believe
if
it
you're
lasts-
behind,
Taylor,
10
do you
if you're
remember how
ahead.
long?
Yep.
Taylor said this. before.
It
It was a fast 10
lasts
seconds.
10 seconds if you're ahead, 20 seconds
There
if
you
you're
go.
behind.
Okay.
And they just said it again.
Red team
my
is
team
making a
go?
break for it though.
20 if you're
Killing
behind,
a
10 if
number
you're
of
ahead. I
team
like it.
members.
Finally,
Yeah.
anti-snowball.
Getting that
mechanic
no
in
cap
PvP.
buff.
Yeah,
really,
that's something
stop blue team's push.
that I feel like a lot of
Wow,
people
looks
don't
like
talk
those
about is
buffs are
a lot of the
important
maps are
to
good
play
in
around.
PvP, but a lot of them
You
don't
know,
have effective
we did want them
rubber
to
band
be
mechanics.
relevant.
Yep.
So,
we didn't want them to
which-
just be things that no one
it's
will
hard-
ever care about ever.
It's hard to
because
craft the like balance of Razor's tension in
having
like
secondary
PvP games,
objectives is
especially
obviously a
group
major
PvP
point of
games.
conquest. It's really
But a
major
lot of
point
things
every
likely
game mode.
people
And you
like,
want,
and it hits that
obviously, the primary
dopamine
objective, but then secondary
thing,
objectives
or
where
trigger,
these
whatever you
1v1s
want to call it,
happen
is
or
because
where these faster builds
there
can
are
go to
rubber
take
band
advantage
mechanics,
of
so you can
potentially.
come back.
Obviously, your
Yeah.
team has to be a bit
In
more
Guild Wars
careful
2,
here
I'm trying to
if
think of like
everyone else in the
there's
jamming in the team fight and you leave
the one with the
45,
bell,
but
there's
that
Silent
there is
Storm.
space for,
That's like
your team
it.
Yeah,
to play a little bit more
Silent
carefully
is
about
maybe
get
the
that buff
only
real
map
quick,
that,
and
if
come
you're
back
good, it can
when
be a
you take
catch-up
advantage.
mechanic. It's usually just the most powerful
Now,
snowball
we did
mechanic in the
talk
game.
about this a little bit in the blog
Right.
post,
The
and you mentioned
bell is
earlier,
almost
but how
always a
much
snowball
are you sort of
mechanic. It's
expecting
rare
to
that
be
you can
iterating
catch
on
up
this
with
game
it.
mode?
Well, at least they're meaningful, so they
Yeah.
affect how
Yeah,
you
we don't
play.
have like an exact timeline
Yes,
of
they do
like,
change. Like
number
the
of
strategy for
betas
those
that we're
maps is very
targeting.
different
We're
because
really
Right.
it's frustrating
putting
how
this
much
out, getting
they
players to
benefit
play with it,
snowballing more than
and
catching up.
that's kind of the starting point.
Because
we need
like
to see
they're
what the
pretty
initial
bad for catching
feedback
up
is
because you have to full
before we
commit to
can
them, which means you
really
have
start to
less
Right, and if-
ability to
like,
hold the other
well,
nodes if you're already losing.
do we
one.
know
Right,
how
and
many
if you're
betas
already
we're gonna
losing,
take?
half your team's dead usually, and those come
we're gonna
up,
get that
and you're
initial
just
feedback,
losing
and we're
more.
gonna figure out all the things that we want to
Yeah,
action
and
based off it.
experienced
and we're
players
gonna
will
do
time
those,
it to
and
like
then we'll
full
probably
team
run
with
another
you
beta,
right before they come up often.
and that'll kind of be this
Or at least
cycle
know to try
that
to do that.
continues
Yep.
until we get to a point where we're pretty comfortable with the state of the mode.
Makes sense.
I
This is-
wonder
like you
if
said, this is
the
something
get
that
a
you
kill
don't really
rally your
expect
team
to have
thing is
a
in this.
set
It
release
probably
date.
is.
We're just gonna get it to a position where we
Yeah,
feel
it
like
should
it's
be.
ready to be released.
I hate
And
that.
Rally Wars, I think, are
Not,
a pretty
yeah.
huge part of
We want to make
PvP.
sure.
I hate
Oh,
that.
all right, so
I think
we
you should
did have the
rally
timer
one person
here.
like World
The
vs.
red team
World.
obviously had the best push.
Yeah.
And
That's a
no
different
one was in
discussion
control of the
entirely.
capture
That's a
point, so
macro
they did
PvP
win
game
on
mode discussion.
tiebreaker.
I mean,
Gotcha.
that's like
We see
either
the top
the
damage.
curse or
Taylor
the
had
saving
top
grace
damage
of
on
this
the red
game. I
team.
think so far it's been a curse.
Wow.
I
Very
think it could be
surprising.
something that keeps
A
it
little bit of a
casual, but
patter, it looks like.
doesn't end up being that way usually.
Maybe.
You know,
Okay, so that
no
one went to
death.
I mean, that
time.
is why I
Red
think-
team won.
Okay, so should we reshuffle
I
the
do
teams and have them
think,
go again?
That's why like res
how do you
signets,
wanna
res
do that?
utilities,
Sure.
glyphs
We should
will
probably
be
play.
really good
I
in
think
this
we'll play
game
one
mode.
more.
Short
whenever we
cooldown.
get
You
back.
wanna
res
you wanna get in
utilities.
Cal? Roy and I can cast.
That's actually an
Oh,
interesting
we're gonna do some
discussion with
actual
Relic of
casting?
Rivers.
We're doing
Sorry,
some
we're talking over this a little bit,
organization
but they're just talking about like setup and stuff.
Dodged by
We're
the
trying
way.
to not
I'll
talk
see
about.
you guys
Like,
online.
I'll link the
I'll
actual
dodge.
raw VOD so
You know, it's
people can
funny. I
just
don't know if
go
I've
watch
ever
it without
actually
us
seen
rambling
Cal
over it. but-
play.
That's true. Cal
Does
Cohan has
Does anyone
never
know
played
if
this
he
video
really
game.
even plays
Um,
this game?
You don't have my alt account. So
He actually is pretty pretty good.
that
But
might
like
be a lie.
it's
Let's play
that's an interesting discussion with Relic of Rivers as well, because a lot of
Guys,
those res
RDN,
utilities and
I love
those
to see
stomp
it.
utilities are balanced around
big.
long cooldowns, especially like
So I noticed you were
banner.
using an outfit tailor.
So
Mhm.
that's another thing where it's like,
Yes.
oh,
No,
I can
no
just
fashion wars for you?
res my team
outfit.
every 40
Outfits
seconds
are
instead of
the
60
play
or
'cause
whatever
when you
now.
can swap
Yeah, that's
swap
what very
everything on
people
one
people believe
character
in
and
the
reset
druid, but
all
the
your armor and
druid
stuff,
res
so it
with
doesn't reset your
Oh,
armor.
it's really good. It's really, really good.
That's like
Yeah.
the meta play for dev servers.
And if you can fit the res thing, whatever it's called, command,
All
which you
right.
can't, but oh
Anything to
well.
talk about while people are
Yeah, they're
joining
good.
up? Probably.
Yeah,
not.
how's your day going?
How's my day?
Oh, yeah,
It's pretty
they-
busy.
the
I actually have a lot of work.
Signet or
to do,
Glyph of the
Is it?
Stars, they buffed that. They
No.
changed
Yeah.
it like
I'm
3
kidding.
years ago. I looked
I
at
have,
it and
like,
went,
no
this
work
is
to do.
nuts. And no one ran it for like 2 years. and I was like
Yeah.
just running it around in World versus World because it
We
originally
won't
hit
joke
10
about
people,
how I
and just
can
like
always-
stealthing myself and
That's-
rezzing entire
yeah.
zergs
Maybe
like off to the
can we put some
side.
gathering nodes on this map.
Ooh.
It's so good.
Oh
now
yeah.
we're talking.
That should at least be the.
I mean, it
aesthetic
should be
for,
the
like,
original
side
glyph that was
objectives. You, like,
there.
go and you start mining on something.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
It
yeah.
was, and then it
You find like a
Huh.
gem.
people didn't know how to
okay,
use it, so
okay,
they
we're
moved
cooking
it.
here. We're actually cooking a little bit. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, Druid's an interesting place right now because it's definitely
Okay.
outclassed by every other support, but that glyph I think
Yeah.
puts it
I
in the
guess.
conversation.
I mean, I'm just looking at the map, and
It's got different
It's a little
stuff.
weird. I'm sure everyone's gonna think it's weird. The point kind of moves like to the side and then comes back. But again, this
I
is
actually
kinda
like that a lot.
This map was not built. This is actually an
Yeah, it's
ancient
growing
map.
on me.
Was kind of the starting point, and we kind of built a little bit on top.
Yeah,
of
we'll
it
see if
with a
the
lot of
moving capture point moving to the
uh,
side stays.
the
But
kind of jumpy areas and some
That's,
of the
I doubt it will, but it
additional
also might.
components on top.
well, he's
of
saying
it
it was built on
already
top of an old map, so
semi-built. It was like
make it
never
change.
The layout
intended
of the
to be
new
a
map
live map,
is
but it was
probably gonna be
far
very
enough
different,
along that we're like, oh, we
hopefully
could totally
small.
just like pile on top of this. Obviously it wasn't
Hot
built for
take,
this
it shouldn't
game
be a
mode, we
nice
really
map.
like the layout.
Definitely
But
not.
Assuming
Especially
this
going into
everything
winter.
goes well,
I
we'll
mean,
make
they'd
an entirely
probably
new map
do
for this
some
game
sort
mode
of
to make
Jantier
sure it's something that
style
makes
things
sense.
to hype up
You feel
the
like the
modern X pack, right?
like what's sort of the first thing you would look at if you
Beach
were going to be
beach
tweaking this
push
in
game
terms
mode.
of,
Everybody mandatory
if
swimsuits.
let's say
Oh,
we see
beach
games going
ball?
to
Wait,
time,
that,
where
Yeah.
that's actually the
reducing
perfect
timer,
aesthetic
is
for
it
this. You
reducing
just
the
hit
path
gold.
that the
Yeah.
node, the control point needs
Beach
to
ball
take.
and super adventure path.
Is
We
it
get
adding
two
more
maps.
side
It's perfect.
objectives to try to pull people away from the main objective? You know, do you have any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to depend kind of like why the match. I mean,
They're talking
why
about
is
side
always gonna be
objectives a little bit now. That's why we
the fights aren't
Shut up.
ending enough so that players can get control of the capture point to push it. So we could investigate things there, or we could just make it
Whoa!
shorter.
Who
and
started
make
it?
fewer. I mean, we have people all readied up.
I was swapping my build. It's fine.
Taylor making
Ooh.
excuses already.
Reaper.
But we could play around with like how
It's
far
fun
the
to say
point needs to
thank you
go,
because of that.
or power up the side buff so it's like, okay, now it's a larger damage buff, so when you capture this, it's more likely that a fight will end.
What?
and will
What
push.
if the side buffs were like NPCs, like maybe Guardian NPCs that you had to kill to get the buff?
I
mean,
think the stream just cut out. We're back though, guys. Don't worry.
I suggested putting the Mist Champions on this map, but I don't think it was well received.
I actually don't
Ooh.
mind that idea.
Wait a
They're
minute.
not here for
Taylor's
the
team.
I mean,
kinda
if they're
getting,
less powerful than they are in Stronghold, maybe.
you know, good
I mean,
time for a
I
comeback.
don't like not to.
Maybe
I
the
like
Reaper,
idea
the
of
Shout
having
Reaper
them
was
there
not
for
the
you to
play.
kill, like,
Well,
the
if I could have
bosses
changed
in,
my utilities,
whatever
power
that map
right
is.
now.
You have swapped
Maybe-
to the
Forest.
Sims again.
I mean, I
Gotcha.
I understand why
wanna
maybe
see
they
the
weren't,
powers
because
or-
this is supposed to be an intro map, so having to solo a beast to get an objective probably isn't, as opposed to go up and press F to help your team,
Yeah.
maybe isn't the best thing for a
Well,
new
it is
person.
kind of like
Ooh.
an interesting thing
Yeah,
about the
it's
game mode is
definitely
that there
less good for
are
intro, but it also.
different builds
I mean,
that
I don't know.
will
I
definitely be
like
relevant
Forest
here
is
compared
a
to Conquest.
very good test for a new
Because
player.
so much is focused around the team fight, and obviously there's team fights in Conquest, but here it's like more dedicated team fight builds that aren't worried about rotating could be even more powerful.
What I like is as long as you seem like you're doing
Do you
something
expect to see different builds crop up
in this,
in terms of meta builds
you're helping.
between, let's say, Ranked Conquest and this game mode?
as
or is it
opposed
just
to
kind of,
Conquest,
as
where
you're
you can
saying,
think
like,
you're
we'll see more of the
helping,
team fight builds that are prevalent
and
in
you're
Conquest,
rotating completely
just
incorrectly,
be,
or
you know, what's taking
just
here in
feeding into
push.
a point and dying over and over that they have,
I think
or
there's
something
room
like
to
that.
do things
Yeah,
Where
that
you
are
think you're
not
helping and you think you're
Conquest
taking
viable,
fights and holding your lane, but you're just,
and
because of how the
re-
capture the flag
realistically,
game
like,
mode works, or King of the Hill, it just
the
doesn't.
initial beta is just going to be in
Yeah.
mini season.
I do think
Not
like
expecting a
this
ton
should
of,
especially
like,
help teach people that
super deep
fighting on point
metagaming
isn't
for
everything,
team comps,
and
it's
dying
obviously
for the
gonna
point or
happen as
AFKing on the point while
players
watching
get higher.
friends die.
You'd
higher in the
think
race
that.
in the
Not
season,
good.
they'll kind of coordinate
I mean,
more
I don't know.
creatively.
It does look
But
like
one of the
just
goals
the setup
with the
of
mode
how this
also is
point
that
moves,
you know you can just kind of
your
hop in
impact,
with the build
your
that
personal impact should be a
you
little
like to play
clearer.
or you're comfortable
Yeah,
playing.
you can lead a
and
horse
just
to water, but I'm
jam
optimistic
team
as well.
fights. And obviously, there's always going to be a meta. There's always going to be builds that are
Lead a
more
horse to water, but you
powerful,
can't make it fight on the
but
point.
The mode
You know how the
should
saying
be
goes.
fairly flexible, so that you can kind of play what you want. And obviously, you know, if your goal is to play a build that is a
I
super
feel
heavy
like this
roaming
map
like
almost should have no
Conquest,
downstate.
it's going to be a little bit less
Yeah.
impactful. You will
Actually
stab
thinking
some
about it, because I feel like
go
bleeding
through,
people is
your
going to
damage buff
be
is pretty good.
like,
But
what if
you're
you
not
just
gonna
get the entire team into downstate
necessarily,
and then just, you know,
fussing
they're not
and
rangers and you just
taking
leave them.
advantage of numbers
Push
I mean,
the-
that's the thing.
Push
Like,
the
that's
point.
why
So we might see a few,
I think the counter
a
that
few
will
less,
be at least one person with the res glyph
bursty focused
That's-
beast builds, but still like mobility.
That's
is
true.
not
As
irrelevant.
long as somebody gets in the point, it's contested.
you know,
Yeah.
are there any sort of considerations for
Ellie
trying
meta, you
to,
can move in downstate.
have respawn timers maybe go a bit longer, or have spawns
We talked
farther
over them a
away
little bit, but I
and
think
take
they're just
longer to
being
get back
way
to
too
the control
optimistic
point?
about the build diversity that
Yeah,
they
obviously you
kinda
can
use
play
it
with the
faster.
respawn
I mean, you say
timer
that
to,
again. We brought this up a little bit
give more
before the
opportunity to push right now
stream,
for testing
where
out
they
10
say
second
basically
respawn,
they think that
so
build
that does
diversity will
make
be
it
a little bit
a bit
different than it
easier
is in
to
Conquest.
respawn,
And
come back
I
to
originally was just
and
like, oh, you 5 stack
fairly
scourges, and then we
quickly.
kept thinking of stuff that
And
might
that's
be
something that we can
useful.
definitely play
So
around with.
people will
That's
be
something that
trying
maybe
stuff at least,
they-
and that's why
Yeah,
this is an alpha.
I
during
think
the beta, we
the
could tweak
first day we'll
respawn
definitely
timer
see
if we
people
see
try
that
like 2
the 10
warriors,
second
2
respawn is just
chronomancers,
too
and like a
fast.
thief or some other fast
That's something that
mobile
we
thing
could
to
update
cap
and see
early.
if 15 makes
But I do think there
the
is
kinda
like
inflow of
a
the
dragon hunter that
game
like
with
sets
the-
traps ahead of where people are.
And do you know,
and
do we
has,
have
like, a
plans
bomb at a
yet?
certain
Are we,
point
you
that
know,
could be
do we
really
have an
good.
idea
Like,
yet
red
if we
sickness
want
will be
this to
really
be
good, and they're
sort
not
of,
great in
you know,
Conquest
where
right now.
eventually
I
when
do
it,
think there's
becomes
definitely going to be a
fully
meta that
fleshed
forms
out,
around this, and
and
there
it's sort
should
of
be
in
for
the
it to be
game's mainstay
healthy.
game mode. Is it going to have a ranked
But
queue
yeah,
slash
I
unranked
think
queue? Is it just
in
going
the
to become
beginning
part of the
people
ranked
just try
queue?
to
Is
do
it going to be its
whatever
own
the
queue?
strongest team
Wait, hold
fight.
on.
We have
They're
an
saying
idea of
stuff.
that, or is it
about
going to kind
We
of
haven't
depend on
really
feedback?
solidified any plans there yet. Obviously, like first step is make sure the game mode is actually something we're going to be working on. I mentioned this at some point in the past. I think it was on a stream somewhere, maybe on a tea time. The goal is not to replace Conquest, and it's kind of supposed to be more of that stepping stool or that more casual game mode for someone to get into PvP and learn their build, and then maybe they feel more comfortable with their build enough that they want to then go learn Conquest. Maybe not. Maybe they just like playing push, and I know a lot of people internally are just enjoying the game mode as well, and might want to play it more than they want to play Conquest even. And that's something that we'll obviously be keeping an eye on in terms of player reception, and if the game mode finally makes it live and ends up in mini seasons or variety tournaments or the unranked queue, FC custom arenas as well, then if there's a very high demand in some crazy world where everyone just stops playing Conquest because they like push more, that's something that we'll want to then, well, it's not something that we're expecting, but it's not something that's impossible. So if that happens, we'll want to kind of reevaluate what we want to do with the game mode. But for right now, our expectation and our goal is that Conquest is still the main game mode in Guild Wars 2. We think it's kind of the best. I mean, it's been around for so long, but it's kind of the game mode that highlights Guild Wars 2 combat the best. And we really like Conquest. We want people to keep playing Conquest, and we know that a lot of players enjoy Conquest as well.
Absolutely.
I do
Okay,
love
so-
that
And these teams
Yeah,
seem,
won't
I think, just a little too
replace
evenly
Conquest
matched, to
for
be
right
honest.
now, at least.
Yeah.
And
I
this
do
probably
think
won't
the
come out
test
for a
of-
while.
For it.
Yeah.
Some
The
more
test
damage
of any new
from
game mode in
Taylor,
this game.
perhaps.
Yeah, well, Taylor,
will
I
be-
noticed he's
I
kind of
think
just been,
people are
this
looking for
Necro's just
something
been
to
free
replace
casting
Conquest.
this
I
whole
don't
time.
think the
Off
hardcore
point.
Conquest player will want
It's,
that. I think a lot of
It's
casual
wild,
players
you know?
have
Really
been wanting something
needs to
new
be
that they like more than
punished
Conquest.
a little bit harder.
Yeah,
I
man.
don't know if that'll
Oh,
ever
you
kill
want me to get
Conquest, but I
punished,
do
Roy?
think
Yeah.
if it's good, it will be more
You know,
popular than
Yeah.
Conquest.
Options
He's
are
free casting
nice.
too much. But,
We
yeah,
accidentally played a stronghold match, and
obviously,
I
think,
enjoyed it,
as
even though we
we've been
lost
saying,
the other
there'll be
day.
a lot of iteration that comes into this, and needs to come into
I mean,
it.
Stronghold,
these two
they're-
games
They talk
can
about it
obviously
later.
be an example of what you'll see in your beta experience.
It was developed in the
So,
wrong order.
Make sure to give us your
Yes.
feedback.
I mean,
from,
yeah, if
from
it was
playing,
developed like this, it'd be very
when the
healthy.
beta comes out,
This might not even
we will
exist
be,
now because it's
know,
so healthy.
reading it all. Taylor, of course, will be taking a look at it. Oh, ooh,
Taylor tagged the down
Nice-
person
nice
who was
job stopping
rezzing.
that
was
res.
Wait,
good.
did I actually get that?
yeah, you did.
And I'm kind of a god.
Still free casting.
Kind
by
of
the
a
way.
god.
Necro just still free casting, and yeah.
Nope.
Ooh.
Cool.
Yeah, see, like that's the thing about
What the
bleeding
res go
someone. I mean,
Blue
you should
team's
know
ahead
it's a
though,
guardian and they
Taylor.
have the
I was gonna
res
say,
kit
is
and
it-
They
the res
are.
thing,
You
but-
know, that blue
You
team
know,
have
I
3
can
minutes left.
only do so much.
But if you leave, like, if
I
you leave
have
someone,
half a
you
million
gotta leave someone
damage
bleeding
right
at like 20% health. You leave them bleeding
You
that
know,
high,
Taylor
anyone can
is just
run
the
in res
epitome of the
He's-
ranked player. He's
he's
like, look
just-
at my
yeah,
stats. Look at my stats.
padding the
Stat
meter and
padding.
just thinks that that's all that matters. Play for the objective, man.
But both damage buffs up again. Maybe if you had the damage buff, you would kill people, Taylor.
Why doesn't my team get it for me?
I mean, you're the Necro. You're the fastest spec here.
I told you, yelling at your
Ooh,
team
I
gives
just
you
got
bonus
saved.
points.
Yep. In every game mode.
This is cool. I like that there's little kiting spots just for fun. Probably won't stay, but
Anything to say, Roy? You're the shoutcaster here.
I mean, I didn't know if I was supposed to actually cast. The,
No, I mean we're
Yeah,
just
I
kind of
do think-
talking.
Yeah,
this
we
is
were
a
just
good
kinda
That's what
team
everyone
to
wants to hear.
implement
They just
something
wanna
like
hear us
this
talking,
with
right?
this strategy.
I think
at
so.
high
I think
levels.
that's why most people come into these streams.
So the point
Um,
seems to do like a zigzag.
Is just to hear us talking, hear us, decide, or decide, whether or not you and I really
Arrows.
dislike each other. Yeah.
Yes.
Arrows
I don't
on
think
what
anything has
route the
happened
thing
for
would
stream
take,
that'll see
probably.
those comments again, but you never
Probably
know.
not too bad. Yeah. I tried to throw a couple in there.
My teammate didn't rally.
Ooh.
I got you.
Like
don't worry.
non-collision
Wait a minute.
flashing
Oh,
arrows,
but guys,
Grouch.
double
guys,
game style.
Grouch running away with
hello,
it.
red team,
Oh,
Grouch,
hey,
about to
team.
go into the finish line. No one contesting him. Quick,
No way.
teleport
I think they're
these
just
death
letting him
hacks or
finish
something.
it
But
to
I
show
don't
it
think he
off.
can do it. He
What
just
a
can't get there in
play.
time. Blue team
Oh my
gonna
god.
get it
Here's
in.
Roger
There it
Red
is.
Team.
Grouch
the way the
crossing the
first matchup
finish
did make me a little
line.
sad, 'cause
You
I don't know
love
how much
to
I like
see
the
it,
just
and this is
straight
why he's the game
ending
director,
if it's
guys.
contested, then once the timers
I,
up.
all right, I will say you can't see the chat on stream. I'm gonna leak it. Grouch did say if
Feels a little
red team doesn't
underwhelming.
let him win, he's firing them all. So
Yeah.
but it still looked pretty good. It still looked pretty good.
All right.
Um,
I'm gonna let everyone go.
Yeah.
And
think
then
we can probably call it there.
Probably wrap up.
Yep.
I do kind of like that this has a built-in like ego check of like
Yeah, alright.
letting people do
Are
the
you
full
gonna
finish
tell them?
versus just like a contesting finish.
You'll-
It also has a
One
surrender
last
mechanic
look
because
at the
your
map,
team
which
just gives
you
up
all
and
be
then
able
you
to
push
get
it to the
your
end
hands
of the
on
game
very
ends.
soon.
If
And
King's
obviously,
more
again, like we've
powerful
been
than ever.
saying, we're going to be looking at feedback for quite a
Oh,
while with
AFK
this.
matches, people.
As we said in the blog post, one of the main goals with this game mode is really to sort of like build it along with the player base. It's something we're very interested in
Cal got a
doing
pop
a lot of
filter.
iterating on. Developing a lot. This is a very, very rough draft. As we've been saying, Sab Cloud included. So yeah, make sure to play the beta. Make sure to give us your feedback. Enjoy it, or if you don't enjoy it, that's good feedback to know too. As long as you tell us why.
Like actually, yeah.
And
Yeah.
we'll be looking out for it. Taylor, as the first ever official push playtester, how did you feel?
Well, I was also one of the first victors.
You were the first victor, although I will
Yeah,
say
yeah.
you won with timer. Grouch won because he pushed better. So
Oh, that is true.
Yeah.
Have to hand it to him.
yeah.
But it's definitely a fun game mode, I would say. A lot of team fight oriented builds you can play here that maybe you couldn't in Conquest. I think this game mode will have a lot different build variety that you'll see over there. I think it's really fun. A lot of variety. Definitely
I
just
think this is a game
fun.
mode where you can very well see two supports.
Get
which
in
is
there,
never a
start
good idea in
fighting,
Conquest.
and then you're doing that correctly, basically. It's very, very easy to get into. Hoping people will enjoy it.
Great. Okay, well, I think we can probably wrap things up. There's really not much else to talk about our show. It was a relatively short stream, but yeah, I think you got the point across. Obviously, thank you for playing, Taylor, and of course, shout out to all of our other developer friends for coming in and playing and showing off the new game mode on stream. Yeah, beta coming out next week. Make sure to get in there. Cal, any final words? I guess I'll give you like a 10-minute timer.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Do we have any questions in the chat?
Oh, we're not reading the chat. That's
Yeah,
They should
big
read the
mistake.
chat.
That would be.
That's what they should do.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Great
obviously,
idea.
we've said it a million times, but I'll just say it again because it's kind of the whole point. Very little here is locked in. There are going to
I
be things
actually
about this
really
game
appreciate
mode that
them
you
repeating
hate
that like
that
40
Yeah,
times.
I'm so happy they're
will
doing
probably change.
and
Which may be
reiterating
things
it.
that you like about this game mode that might change because other people don't like them, or we decided that we're going in like a slightly different direction.
Now I guess it's more of a matter of who the
This
pushes
is
to.
the earliest we have ever shipped like obviously a PvP game mode, but
Again,
realistically, like probably
Thank
any
you
content,
for
and
doing
maybe
this.
someone
Thank
has
you
an
for just
example that's
trying
true, but,
stuff before you
like,
invest like thousands and thousands
this
of development
is
dollars
very
into it.
much.
This is
Yeah.
I
great.
mean, I don't want to call
Hopefully,
it an experiment, but
but
it's like
I'm optimistic.
it is
Same.
intended to be something that is not polished, not final, not iterated on a whole lot. We've obviously had some internal
Like Bladesworn.
playtesting
Ah, I
efforts
got
that
one.
based
Got to
off
turn the
that,
chip over on my
but it
desk.
is very much. We think this is a cool idea. We've played around with it enough internally that we think it's a cool idea. We want to see what the players think before we devote a ton of resources into getting all of the things that the game mode needs to run. And we're honestly pretty excited to see the result of this process because kind of the one existing data point that we have is Stronghold, which kind of went
Oh my
the
god, we
opposite
said
direction.
the S word.
I'm going to talk
Holy
about Stronghold
cow.
a little bit. I talked about it in the blog,
Let's
so I
talk
might as well
about
do it here. But Stronghold is an example of the entire game mode was built and polished and iterated on internally before it even saw beta. And obviously the map was complete. All of the art was complete. It was very much in
And
a
the
state
map
where
itself is good.
it was as finished as it was supposed to be. And obviously we're going to
Be a really
iterate.
good
because
You mentioned it would be a
everything needs
great
iteration,
GVG map.
but it
Mhm.
was essentially a final
With no
version of
changes.
the game mode, of the map, of everything before players even got to play with it. And I don't want to talk about Stronghold too much, but we saw that that process didn't really work too well, and Stronghold is something that we could improve on. And I spent some time honestly on my free time sometimes thinking about Stronghold in ways that we can make it better. But it ended up as a game mode that doesn't see a ton of play, and that's not our hope when we can do game mode.
I
So we're
was
hoping
surprised by the 10%
by starting
number
this
they threw out
process
in the blog
so
post.
much earlier that we can get the mechanics in front of players, get them playing it, figure out what's wrong, make them better, make
Figure
it
out
a
what's
game
right.
mode that players really want to play, and then polish it up and ship it. And I think internally we're really excited about what that process is going to look like and the opportunity that it kind of gives us to ship things that
That's
are
almost what
incomplete
they're
and
doing with
unpolished,
elite specs.
and just get feedback on the underlying mechanics, because that is probably the most important thing. I mean, I'm biased, but I'd play on a flat plane with just all gray box props.
The test zone.
Like
So
Halo
there we
4
go.
all over again.
Wow, only 3 minutes. That was pretty impressive.
Ooh.
Taylor,
I
any
can go more.
final words?
No, I have faith in them. They can ramble for
I think
another 5.
that covers it all. I
Okay.
can say the
No,
I
we
can say the
can't.
bit if you want me to.
In my bit? You mean the thing that I say?
It's actually my bit.
That's funny. That's cute. Pretty sure I was doing these streams before you, buddy. Okay, well then I guess
Also-
that means that I will wrap it up since Taylor, is just too
Ooh, I can
tired
leak
from.
something out. I
his-
can talk
oh,
about
okay,
something else.
okay. Yeah,
Real quick.
Classic.
Okay,
Next
introduce the
Friday,
device
we are
thing.
doing the balance preview for the next balance
What?
update. So
Heck yeah.
There's gonna be a balance patch.
Love that.
We're gonna
I'm
do a
so
stream.
excited.
That is crazy.
that's all I'll say for now.
When the
Balance
balance patch
That's
is
free.
crazy. That's
alpha
exciting.
too,
I'm sure
or
we've
preview
got
at
some
least.
good stuff cooked up for that stream. But all right, thank you very much for
No,
watching
it's
the
next
stream.
Friday, so
Legends
it'll
is
come
back
after.
as well. We talked about that in the blog.
Now we're doing it again.
So look forward to the Tournament of Legends. I
ELO.
think that's everything, though. Go ahead, Wade.
Was that everything?
All
Was it
right.
really?
Thanks for watching the stream. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to check out the beta for Push, new PvP game mode coming out next week. Give us your feedback all over the place. We will see it. We will read it. We will internalize it. And yes, until next time, see you in the mist.
See you in the mist.
I feel like
Yeah.
Taylor should have just cut him off and been like, mine. No, I'm super optimistic about what we just watched. I think they're doing it in the right order this time, where I've been a huge proponent of, I know I said this a million times, but ArenaNet needs to just try stuff because it's one of the 2 MMOs that isn't WoW that still exists. And no one knows, like, it just still exists and it's good because it doesn't hate you. So in not hating you, they have the room now to be like, hey, what do the players playing our game want? And just
Yeah.
see if it works. And if everyone hates this, then it'll probably go away. And if everyone doesn't hate it, they might iterate on it. But at least they're not sinking hundreds of thousands of development dollars into it for nothing.
Exactly. And I think with the age of this MMO, like that's the exact strategy it needs. There's a good reason why OSRS is as popular to this, and I think as good as the game is, it's mostly because of the player feedback and how they implement new features.
Yeah. So that's our 3 cents on this. I'm sure we'll talk about it more. Go try the beta. It's coming up on the 10th, so this coming Tuesday. He said it will run for 2 weeks, according to Cal, and there will be a balance patch preview stream. No idea when we're getting that, but next Friday, maybe we'll get some more info on that in the coming week. I'm stoked. Always balance patches are my favorite thing, even if they dumpster all my classes. So, even if they nerf literally everything, we'll see. Game kind of needs it, but yeah, this looks sick. Again, ArenaNet very good job, at least just communicating and trying stuff. That's great. New ArenaNet to see. I think it's really interesting. I will have it linked in the description as well. They have like, they put the forum thread for this up before they debuted anything, and it already had like 3 pages of comments, and now I'll refresh it like, 2 hours later, and it's probably got like 17 or something. Let's go to the last page. I'm just curious. Nope, still only 3. Maybe they locked it. Who knows? Go check it out. Go give your feedback when the game load is live, hopefully. Glad people aren't giving feedback on this. Whatever. Do you have any final thoughts? I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this. I do want to say, I think this game mode they made actually might be an incredible way to give them data on teamfight balance, to really show them like what's overtuned in a team fight, because I think it's very hard to tell in Conquest and War vs. World. So it could be a really good thing for War vs. World and Conquest balance going forwards that this exists, to really give them a nice sort of telescope to focus on what's happening in a team fight, what's overtuned, what's undertuned,
or even
really,
what's unhealthy and what people aren't enjoying.
Exactly. Yeah, just like what's fun. I think this game mode could be incredible for balance. Even if it doesn't exist in this form, just the beta test, I think will shine a really good light on balance.
I'm stoked. Yeah, I think that's all we got. I'm Pseudo. This is Sea Monster. Check him out. He streams Homesteads. I stream complaining about Bladesworn and balance news and stuff. Have that linked in the description as well. Got a bunch of stuff to link. But yeah, Guild Wars 2. Good time to play it. I think that's all I got. I will see you guys in Tyria.
See you in Tyria.
Peace out.